Hello, guys. Welcome back to our channel. This is a channel where we talk about relevant issues as it relates to legal matters to guide you in your business, in your personal, individual life. So today we're going to be talking about the common silly mistakes startup founders make. It's one thing to have an interest in having a business, another thing to see that business grow. But there are lots of things you may do that will inhibit the growth of that business. So we're going to be talking about some of those things that some of the mistakes startup founders make, and how they can avoid them. So now, the first one is incorporating the wrong entity or the right entity in the wrong jurisdiction. So incorporating the wrong entity or the wrong jurisdiction could prevent you from getting funding or launching your product. One of the dreams of every startup founder is to get funding. By funding, we mean capital, monies that you put into your business to help your business grow. And some of the funders, the venture capitalists and all of that, they prefer some kind of jurisdictions. This is me shaking my head for some founders that, they just wake up one day and incorporate institutions, companies anywhere. Decide the kind of name they want to give it and the kind of place they want to let the company operate in. So venture capitalists prefer jurisdictions that have favorable judicial systems, lower taxes, and minimal foreign exchange exposure. So they'll most likely prefer that you establish your company or the holding company in jurisdictions that are favorable to them. So for example, if you want to operate, you have a tech startup in a jurisdiction like Nigeria that is unfavorable to cryptocurrencies, you may want to reconsider your decision for that, because if you want to get a funding from VCs, they may be skeptical, about investing in that kind of company that is situated in a country or in a jurisdiction that has laws that are unfavorable to what the company does. Okay, so that's one of the the mistakes you need to avoid: incorporating the wrong entity or in the wrong jurisdiction. Now, the next thing you need to avoid, the next mistakes founders make, is choosing the wrong name. So your name determines to a great extent the identity of your brand. So for example, if you look at companies like Google, they weren't called Google at the beginning. If you look at, for example, Google was named Backrub, Amazon was called Cadabra, the Nike fashion brand was called Blue Ribbon Sports. But as time went on, they evolved and they had to develop new names to represent the kind of brand they are putting out there. So if you have a tech company, your company name should represent what your company does, right? And it should be appealing. Okay, so for example, the Abeg app was bought over, and it was renamed Pocket. Okay, because the Abeg as a name really didn't situate well, so they had to rename it to give that good branding and everything. So startup founders should be very careful about what they name their company. Then again, the next one is inadequate protection of intellectual property. You may have a very good product. If you don't trademark, copyright, patent some of those items you have, it may be exploited in a way that it won't favor you. So as a startup founder, all your intellectual properties must be highly protected. Those are your they are your tools of trade. Okay, so you must protect your intellectual property. Then the next one is lack of good employment contracts. You have money as a startup founder, you just employ people without putting in terms that will govern that employment relationship. And the best way you can do this is to run it through a lawyer who will guide you in preparing a very good employment contract. So, for example, when your employee works with you and he develops something that has some intellectual capabilities in it, intellectual properties in it, who owns that intellectual property. Those things should be set out in your employment contract. Intellectual property ownership and assignment, non-compete agreements, termination notices, compensation benefits, and share vesting if you want to include that in your employment terms. So you should have a good employment contract, because the people you employ and the kind of relationship you have with them has a great way or a great role to play in determining the success of your venture. Then the next is unfair contractual obligations. You see, people who get into who establish companies, startup founders, sometimes they just out of their own or on their own volition enter into some contractual relationships without really reading through the lines. So what they do sometimes is they just go online, Google a template, and bring it out, and then they edit it and sign. You know, when the issues arise, they run back to the lawyer. So what you do as a startup founder, you need to don't enter into any oral or written contracts or agree to certain arrangements via email without seeking legal advice. This is very, very important. Don't think you know the market. You should seek legal advice. Okay. These innocuous agreements can lead to big issues. By innocuous, we mean seemingly harmless agreements. Can lead to big issues in the future, such as loss of earned revenue, loss of intellectual properties, even you can lose your intellectual property rights because you just entered into a careless agreement. And even loss of control of your company. You wake up one day, you're no longer in control. How did that happen? You ceded your shares, your control to someone else without even knowing because you didn't seek proper legal advice. Now, the next one is failure to comply with sector specific regulations and laws. We've had instances where regulators freeze the account of companies and the monies invested in those companies are locked up. So investors begin to pursue them around, asking them for monies, and everything crumbles overnight. So companies and startups in the tech, let's say for example, fintechs, in the healthcare sector, pharmacies, companies in the financial services sector, some companies that are highly regulated, you must ensure you know what the regulations are and you comply, and your lawyer will help you with that. Don't assume you know it. So if you are in breach of some of the regulations, it can lead to the end of your company. Don't forget that. No matter how big your company is, one regulatory flop can bring an end to everything you've built over the months, over the years. All right. And then next is tax evasion. You want to be very smart. You want to avoid paying taxes because you want to retain. In fact, some persons deduct taxes, some founders deduct taxes from their employees without remitting it to regulatory authorities. That should be avoided. All right. Now, if this video was helpful or informative to you, just click on the subscribe button, like the video, share the video, make your comments. If you have questions, just drop your questions in the comment section, and of course, we'll answer all your questions. If you have suggestions on videos you think we should educate you on, or topics you think we should talk about, also drop them in the comment box and we will immediately work around it. So all of this is just part one of the common silly mistakes startup founders make and how to avoid them. In in a subsequent release, we're going to bring out another very important one, and that has to do with relationship between founders. Some companies break because founders are unable to agree. By founders, we mean people who came together to start the company. When they're unable to agree for whatever reason, money, ego, power, control, the company breaks down. And how to avoid that, we're going to share with you in the next video. Please subscribe to our channel, share this video, like, and drop your comments in the comment box. Thank you.